Number 5. The WillowBrook Hepatitis Experiments. 1956, WillowBrook State School in New York. This place was a nightmare, a warehouse for mentally disabled children. Filthy, overcrowded, conditions so horrible that disease spread constantly. Hepatitis was inevitable. One researcher looked at the situation and thought, perfect opportunity for an experiment. His plan? Deliberately infect the kids with hepatitis to study how it progressed and test potential vaccines. The kids ranged from 3 to 10 years old. Here's how he got parents to agree. He told them the school was so full, there was a waiting list years long, but if you let your child participate in the hepatitis study, they'd be admitted immediately. Some were fed hepatitis-contaminated chocolate milk. Others were injected directly with the virus. Over 800 children participated. Over 800! Some developed serious complications that lasted their entire lives: liver damage, chronic hepatitis, pain that never went away. The justification from researchers? They're gonna get hepatitis anyway because this place is so gross, so why not study it? The psychological trauma wasn't just from the illness. It was from being deliberately poisoned by people in authority, people who were supposed to care for them, people running an institution meant to protect vulnerable children. The study didn't stop until public outrage forced the government to shut it down. Even then, it took years of fighting to make people care. But this next one might be the most disturbing because it happened in plain sight, in a school, with regular kids. Number 4, the Monster Study. 1939, University of Iowa. 2 speech therapists had a question. Could they actually cause stuttering in children who spoke perfectly normal? Their answer? Let's try. They recruited 22 children from poor families, mostly African-American kids, kids whose parents couldn't fight back, and they subjected them to months of negative reinforcement. Every time a child spoke, the therapist would tell them their speech was terrible, wrong, disgusting. They mocked them, humiliated them in front of other kids, made them feel ashamed for the simple act of opening their mouth. The message was clear: you're broken, your voice is wrong, you should be embarrassed. But it worked. Many of these children developed actual stuttering, real speech problems, not psychological, actual neurological changes that caused them to stutter when they spoke. Some of those kids stuttered for the rest of their lives, into adulthood. Every job interview, every conversation, every moment of public speaking, traumatic. The experiment was so cruel, so obviously wrong, that decades later people started calling it the Monster Study. But this next one shows what happens when scientists don't even try to hide what they're doing. Number 3, the Robbers Cave Experiment. 1954. A psychologist recruited 22 boys from Oklahoma for what they thought was a fun summer camp. But it wasn't a camp, it was a lab. The goal? To create hate. He split the boys into 2 teams, Eagles and Rattlers. Then he systematically created conflict. First, he made them compete for resources. Whoever won got the best meals, best cabins, best everything. The groups started competing. Then he escalated. He told each group that the other team was planning attacks. He encouraged them to sabotage each other's activities, to trash the other group's belongings, to plan retaliation. Within days, the boys weren't just competing in an experiment, they actually hated each other. They threw rocks at each other, started planning real attacks. The artificial conflict had transformed into genuine rage. The experiment proved that you can make regular kids hate each other. But at what cost? These were 11-year-old children whose sense of morality had been weaponized by an adult in a position of authority. But making kids fight each other is one thing. This next experiment turned an entire classroom into a fascist movement. Number 2, the Third Wave Experiment. 1156, 1967, a high school history class. Teacher named Ron Jones decides to show his students how easily people get manipulated by authoritarianism. He's going to do this by creating a fake fascist movement, just for one day, as a demonstration. He imposes strict discipline, makes students salute each other, creates a special symbol, a wave, tells them they're part of an elite group, the best students, the special ones. On day 1, the kids thought it was funny. By day 2, they were invested. By day 3, they'd become genuinely committed to the movement. Students started reporting classmates for not following the rules. They mocked kids who weren't part of the group. They began adopting the ideology. The atmosphere in the classroom completely shifted from "this is a fun exercise" to "this is real, this is us versus them." By day 4, the experiment had gone so far that Jones tried to end it, but the students didn't want it to stop. They had been psychologically captured by the movement. Think about that.
They came to school one day, left with shame and guilt about their own behavior. But the most disturbing part about all these experiments, scientists kept trying to replicate them, thinking they could do it better. Number 1, the prison simulation that went wrong. 2002, the BBC decides to recreate the Stanford prison experiment, but this time they're going to do it ethically. They have psychologists on standby. They have exit protocols. Participants can leave whenever they want. They know it's an experiment. It's supposed to be controlled, safe. The simulation started and the same patterns emerged. Guards became authoritarian, prisoners became submissive and depressed. But this time everyone knew it was fake. Participants literally knew they could walk out. Some did, but many who stayed developed real psychological disorders, anxiety, panic attacks. One participant had such severe panic that researchers had to remove him. Another developed depression that persisted months after the study ended. Here's the disturbing part. Even with all the protections, even knowing it was fake, the human mind still couldn't handle it. Putting people in situations designed to mimic oppression created real, lasting psychological harm. You can't trick the nervous system. It knows threat when it sees it. It doesn't care if it's just for research.